Hello, BookTube. I have a little bit of mail for you here, some periodicals and some packages. The periodicals, the first one is the Martha's Vineyard Gazette, a big old-style broadsheet newspaper that's printed on the island of Martha's Vineyard. This one has a front-page article. I don't know if you can make this out. A front-page article. First of all, that's an original photograph, but there's a front-page article about crows. And I just love that. This issue does not have a book review by yours truly, but they will be coming. Winter is a little bit of a fallow period, but they will be coming. Then the next periodical is the London Times Literary Supplement, the TLS, the greatest literary journal in the English-speaking world. I haven't read any of these yet, but this one is going to have a couple of tense moments. One of the things I've mentioned on this channel is that when you're a book reviewer, reading book reviews in something high profile like the TLS, or really anywhere, it could even be a tiny newspaper in northern Georgia. When you read a review of a work, of a release that you have also reviewed, there's a particular kind of tension. I know that it shouldn't be true, because all readers, I'm going to be interested in what any reader has to say about a big new release, but when somebody else is on the same high wire that you are, where they too have been paid, they too have run their work by an editor, they too are putting their opinions right out there into the public, there's an extra tension. I don't know why it is, but it is. And I noticed that in this issue, there are quite a few books here that are reviewed by reviewers I really like, or whose names I don't know, that are books I also have reviewed. That's going to be true in all cases. In all months, there are always going to be big releases that get reviewed everywhere. For instance, Bill Gates's book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, is reviewed in this issue. And I reviewed that. And for the Daily Star in Bangladesh. And also a little book that I loved, I think we saw it on this channel, The Return of the Beaver, where all about a fanatic who's dedicated to rewilding beavers in the UK. That's reviewed in here. Will the reviewer hate it? Could be. You never know. But one of the things that caught my attention was that wasn't a book review, was in the back, in the NB column. At one point, we're told that let's see here, the Chanter's House in Ottery St. Mary in Devonshire is up for sale. This is a house where Coleridge lived. And the price that's being asked is £7 million. Doesn't seem to me, in the grand scheme of things, like a large amount of money, especially since the whole house seems to be intact and a kind of shrine to Coleridge and his era, including the library. Look at that. If I had the money, I would pay the £7 million just for that library. Maybe even just for a library card to that library. Oh my. Oh my. So I will keep you updated and see if the house is bought. And then the last of the periodicals that I have to show you today is the Atlantic. Which I no longer subscribe to. I realized this just the other day. I saw this on a newsstand. So I really need to subscribe to it again. I wasn't happy when the Atlantic Monthly became the Atlantic. I wasn't happy when the Atlantic left Boston. And I haven't been totally happy with their drift towards 21st century sensibilities. The whole point of the Atlantic Monthly, when it was first created by people whose daily activities and whereabouts I know down to the last hour, was that it not be that, was that it be sort of an eternal journal. So when you get an issue like this is the latest issue, you can see Caitlin Flanagan has the headline essay, Private Schools Are Indefensible. A statement, a sentence, which is, I assume, the gist and maybe even the headline of her piece, that is self-evident nonsense. But it's not just self-evident nonsense. It's also clickbait, right? It's the kind of line that you would see on Twitter. Private schools are indefensible. Fight me. Change my mind. Something stupid like that. Where someone goes on to social media, mostly Twitter, and writes a hot take, a steaming hot take, that is nonsensical. And they know it is. They don't in any way believe it. It is not defensible. They only want the clicks. They only want the outrage. They are so bought into it themselves that they're willing to do anything to get that dopamine high. Well, okay, I guess if that's on Twitter and we know what we're getting into, but it shouldn't be in the Atlantic. I haven't read this essay, but the line that describes it, which I assume has Caitlin Flanagan's approval, is so absurd as to border on being just flatly stupid. But there will be books coverage in here, and the one thing I noticed in the table of contents is that one of the things that's reviewed, in addition to Clara and the Sun, Ishiguro's new book, which I have not written, I've not reviewed it, and I know I don't usually have FOMO when it comes to new novels, but nevertheless, with some of them, I feel like I wish I'd been in the scrim just a bit. But another one that's in here is the new Philip Roth biography. And I am reviewing that for the Christian Science Monitor. So, and I'm not one of those reviewers. Is that featured on the cover? No. Although one thing that is Helen Lewis's piece called What Happened to Jordan Peterson, in which she gives a sort of overview of where the whole Jordan Peterson story is now. I saw his name came up on Working Man Reads, a BookTube channel. I think that's the name of the channel. I'll leave a link to it down below because Jordan Peterson came up on, he did Mark Nash's Last 10 Books tag, and Jordan Peterson's name came up. Of course, he's come up on this channel before. I don't know if this piece will be a think piece about Jordan Peterson, or is it an actual review of his new book wrapped in a think piece about Jordan Peterson? I don't know, but one way or another, I know that the Blake Bailey Philip Roth book is reviewed in here, and that is what I mean. That is what I'm talking about. That there's a kind of butterflies in the stomach feel about reading a review of a major work by someone who, when I am going to review it myself, when I'm going to be in that conversation. I'm not one of those reviewers who can't read such reviews before I've written my own. My own opinions on the work are not biddable. They're not. I'm not going to worry that I'm not going to worry that I'm accidentally purloining someone's turn of phrase or something like that. My turns of phrase are plenty good. I'm not going to need to borrow from whoever the Atlantic got. But it is still going to be a butterfly in the stomach feeling, because I know what I thought about the book, and what if the reviewer sees all sorts of things that I didn't see. No matter what it is, no matter what the book is, that's always the besetting worry. That when you get around to reading that person's review, whether you do it beforehand or after the fact, they will have seen something that you didn't see. That's always the worry. I'm not really thinking that's possible in this case. I gave that biography a good deal of attention, but we shall see. But then we have packages, and only the first package seems to be in accordance with rule number 1. For those of you who are new, rule number 1 on this channel is send me books. I want all the books. I want you to go to your local library book sale and get a nice big basket full or a satchel full or whatever of books for yourself, but then get another one for me and then mail them to me. I want you to go through the books on your shelf and say, well, I really like this book. But I still have to send it to Steve anyway. I mean, rule number 1 is rule number 1. So I want all the books, and this first one had a package from eBay. So, oh, will you look at that? Oh, wow. Oh, fantastic. Okay, do I know the guilty party here? I saw this on a Voxer message and thought the person was talking about getting it for themselves, not for me. The other day, I hauled a mass market paperback called The Mystery Story, a collection of nonfiction pieces about murder mystery, about the genre of murder mystery, different types of mysteries, analyses of authors, edited by John Ball, who, among other things, was the author of In the Heat of the Night, and the creator of Virgil Tibbs. And I mentioned when I was hauling that paperback that I was going to have to be gentle with it and reinforce it, because I'm going to want to revisit it. And it's falling apart already. And someone obeyed rule number 1 and got me the hardcover. Wonderful. Well, okay, I'll have to check and see if this is the person that I'm thinking of, but this can withstand any kind of abuse. Fantastic. Great. Okay, then we have two packages from publishers. One is a box, and one is a big, heavy envelope. But these are not rule number 1. These have nothing to do with rule number 1. They are just books from publishers. So let's see here. What is this first one? Okay, this is from the great folks at Princeton University Press. They're really pulling ahead. They're keeping me well supplied in books. This is by Benjamin Story and Jenna Silber Story, and it's called Why Are We Restless? On the Modern Quest for Contentment. And there's a tangle of wire, as you may have in your own workstation, a tangle of wire. If you would only follow Steve's ergonomic advice, the tangle of wire would be a thing of the past. A thing of the past. Sort out what kind of charging cable you need. Chances are 3 or 4 of your devices all use the same cable. Get rid of all the doubles. Don't just unplug them and leave them there. Get rid of them. Get them out of sight. And then it's just the rule that you learned in Glengarry Glen Ross. A, B, C. Always be charging. So when you leave spot A, you make sure that everything at spot A is charging. And then when you leave spot B, you do the same thing, and you get back to spot A, and everything is charged. But anyway, let's see what we have here. I am not restless. So why are we restless is probably talking to you Zillennials. This comes out in early April, and it is a profound and beautifully written exploration of how the way we pursue happiness makes us unhappy. You primates, I swear. Drawing on the insights of French thinkers Michel Montaigne, Blaise Pascal, and Rousseau, and Alexis de Tocqueville, this book explores how the skeptical philosophy we have inherited pretends to let us live as we please, but in fact produces remarkably homogeneous lives, lives haunted by a distinctive form of unhappiness. This book makes the case that finding true contentment requires rethinking our most basic assumptions about happiness. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up being true. There's nothing that humans like to be wrong about more than their own happiness. But we shall see. And then we have this great big thing, which I'm very happy to see. I'm very happy to see that somewhere along the line, somebody decided to tape this to prevent the contents from flying out, instead of letting the contents fly out and delivering the empty cardboard container with a little sticker on it saying, "We care." The post office will sometimes do that. They'll send me the empty package with a sign on it saying, "We care," meaning, we're really sorry that we lost this for you, but we wanted to send you the package to show you that we care. So I'm glad somebody did this. Let's see what they saved. Oh, fantastic. Oh, great. All right. Fantastic. This is A Whole World. Letters from James Merrill. Edited by Langdon Hammer, who wrote a great biography of James Merrill just a few years ago. This is sort of a companion volume to that. There is the poet as a very young man, and he was a great letter writer, a fantastic letter writer, so this is a collection of his letters. Great. Fantastic. Not as long as I thought it would be. I was under the impression this was going to be almost 1,000 pages long. No, this is only 700. But even so, very happy to have this. I don't have a pub sheet for this, but I believe this is an April release. I think this is early April, just like the other book. I will look it up and see, but I'm going to dig right in. Fantastic. Okay, so that is the mail. In addition to periodicals, we have A Whole World, letters from James Merrill. Then we have Why Are We Restless? Time to rethink our ideas of what is happiness. And finally, The Mystery Story. In a hardcover. Somebody went online and got me a copy of The Mystery Story. Very nice. Very, very nice. So that's the mail for today. At least we had one observance of rule number 1. That's good. We'll hope for more tomorrow. We'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.